The topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
This is Beyond Confidence with your host, Divya Parekh. Do you want to live a more fulfilling life? Do you want to live your legacy and achieve your personal, professional, and financial goals? Well, coming up on Divya Parekh's Beyond Confidence, you will hear real stories of leaders, entrepreneurs, and achievers who have stepped into discomfort, shattered their status quo, and are living the life they want. You will learn how relationships are the key to achieving your aspirations and financial goals. Moving your career or business forward does not have to happen at the expense of your personal or family life, or vice versa. Learn more at www.divyaparekh.com, and you can connect with Divya at contact@divyaparekh.com. This is Beyond Confidence, and now here's your host, Divya Parekh.
Good morning. It's Tuesday, and I love being with you. So I do want to take a moment and have you think about as to how are you bringing AI into your world. And when I talk about AI, it is artificial intelligence. And it's important that you think about it because it is been around for quite some time. And now with generative AI, it's so prevalent and it's changing, if I were to say, even like every 30 seconds. So if you're looking to get ahead, thank you for getting a book. For those who have already got a book, if you have not, go get our book, The AI Agency, and it will help you get positioned for the next several years and get ahead of AI. Well, let's bring in our guest. Welcome, Mark.
Thank you, Divya. Great to be with you.
Absolutely. And wonderful to have you on our show. So share with our audience, do you recall a moment or multiple moments from your lifetime that have left a positive mark on you?
Wow. I think it started when I was a very early age. My dad was an entrepreneur per se. He was a consultant, but he's the one that kind of engaged me in entrepreneurship. You know, I cut grass. I was a newspaper boy. I sold Christmas cards. So I kind of got into that entrepreneurial spirit. But he also told me and really emphasize some of the things that I need to do to be successful. And when you learn that at a very early age, it carries over not only in your schoolwork, but when you first get a job. All those things enter into creating what I would say leadership principles that you develop over time that can make a difference, not necessarily in your life, but really what's more important in the lives of other people. What kind of things can you bring that can help support other people and be successful? And there's so much that goes into it. But I learned at a very early age from my dad. So it's not just one thing, it's multiple things that you learn over time that can make a difference, and you build upon what you learn to help other people.
Absolutely. And being in Louisiana, I know you have built one of the fastest growing technology states in the country. So can you share with us what's your contribution there?
Yeah, so when I was running the Louisiana Technology Council, it was a nonprofit group, and Louisiana was 49 out of 50 states in technology employment. I took over the organization when it was basically almost bankrupt. I didn't get paid for a month, but I knew there was an opportunity since you're really at the bottom of the barrel. What can you do to emphasize or bring in technology initiatives to get people to stop thinking so much on tourism, which was the primary driver, in oil and gas? What can we create as an additional tech industry that can make a difference? And so for 10 years, we made and did some very significant things. We brought in the CIO of Microsoft. We just did all those kind of things that would put technology on the map. And so for 10 years, we actually went from 49th to 32nd in technology employment. And that's pretty substantial from 2002 to 2012. To make that kind of impact. And, you know, my goal was really to help people. It's not that I did it myself. It was a combination of all the people that you bring into the organization that can make a difference, that can help people grow. and help them realize that technology can make a difference. And it's been pretty substantial, and they continue to grow in that area.
Oh, that's fantastic. And what were some of the lessons you learned along the way that you can take
Well,
right now
the
and share it
lessons
with
I
people?
learned is you really need to engage in people who are smarter than you. And that may sound counterintuitive, but you bring in these experts that have uh, they're expert. They have that expertise in their field that can make a difference, and you let them do their job. So you want to hire the people that are smarter than you, and you let them go ahead and let them do their job because they're good at it, and you give them the resources and the tools that can make them as effective as possible and as successful as possible for the organization. It's just not one; it's multiple expertise that come to a level that can really drive an organization to success.
And that is such a valid point because when you have talent, talent is what that takes organization to the next level. What? So now the question comes in, especially with the new generations who don't stick around much. What are some of the best ways and best practices in hiring top talent and as well as retaining them?
Yeah. So I think most executives or most people in the hiring business try to hire for skill. They want to bring that talent in there. They want to get the smartest person. But what I found is the best way to hire people is you hire for culture and you train for skill. That is paramount because when you hire someone and they don't fit into your culture, it creates toxicity within the environment and it doesn't help people because they're not motivated. So you want to make sure that you have a cultural environment that everybody can surround themselves with really good people. And I think the best way to do that is to really engage what I call the unthinkable approach to hiring is to find and do deep dives into how people think, how they react to stress, how they all the kind of things that can bring that person into an environment that can fit into the culture. And so it's really key and paramount. I stress this so much in my CL roundtables. You hire for culture, you train for skill. It's really easy if people are motivated and you provide tools to help increase their skill level, but it's really hard to change how a person thinks, how they react to things, how they communicate, because they typically bring that habit to the organization, and that's a hard thing to change.
Absolutely. And so when we talk about culture, so many times you talked about toxicity. What would you say are some of the key elements of having a culture that allows for failure and that also allows for that safe space that if there is toxicity, people can come to the forefront and talk about it?
Well, it really is engaged. Not everybody's personality is different. So how do you get that right person? How do you figure out because when when you do this test that I've actually developed, nobody can prepare for it. I call it the unthinkable approach to hiring, but you want to engage in how they think. And I ask certain prompts. Like Divya, if I'm going to interview you, I said, Divya, I'm going to say one or two prompts. I want the first thing that comes to your mind. There's no right or wrong answers, but you want to feel and you get to know somebody really quickly by these typical prompts. And I'll give you a few of them to come off the top of my head. 5 single words that best describe you. Favorite movie, favorite car, reincarnated as something other than a human being. What would that be? If you had $100 million in the lottery, what would you do if you won it? So all these answers create a pattern of how they fit into the culture. Now, what's really important though is you can hire these people and you get the culture the way you want. But you got to put in, you have to put in what I would call teamwork building activities that can help engage people like they're part of a family. And then you reward based on those activities. You give them goals, you have team building exercises, goals, they meet their goals, they get rewarded. All these things and factors enter into a successful organization and motivation, and they feel like they're part of something, part of what I call a family. You want a company that feels like it's a family environment.
Absolutely. So, in your considerable experience, do you recall any actual stories how that played out?
Well, when I was working, helping a manufacturing company in the sheet metal business, their culture was pretty tough. So we analyzed all the people, and well, the first thing you have to do is, I always say the best way to get rid of A players is to tolerate C players. So what can we do to help either engage a C player to become more B and become an A player, or at the end of the day, how do I get rid of that toxicity in a C player? So some of the things that you do is you do team building activities, surround yourselves around people that can provide what I call core values. If a company doesn't have core values, give them a team building exercises where these core values, people can provide input into what are the 5 words that provide core values for a company, and get everybody to input what that the core value would be, and they all get together and you pick 5 or 6 of them. So everybody's part of something that's part of the organization. Same with the mission statement and vision statement. You have to have employees that want to participate, or you get them to participate in where the company is going, how to go, what the future is going to look like, and they feel like now they're part of something and engaging in activities that can really help the company be successful.
Yeah, and core values, that's such a powerful thing. A lot of people don't talk about it.
Correct.
But values is something that can help you charter through tough times in life, whether it is at work or whether it's in personal life. It can help you make decisions. What are some of the other team building activities that organizations can do?
One of my favorite one is what I call the start, stop, keep routine. So you get and you ask 3 questions of all your employees, and you get them documented, and it's really kind of anonymous, but you could say, what do we need to start doing that we're not currently doing?
Mm-hmm.
What do we need to stop doing that's really not beneficial? What do we need to keep doing that's really demonstrates success for an organization? And so everybody inputs and provides this information. You get them all together and you list all these start, stop, keep things. And then the team decides, well, we need to start doing this. They all decide and we're going to do these kind of things or stop doing these kind of things. And it's up to the CEO to make sure that those things that we've all agreed to are engaged upon. So they work towards what I call that start, stop, keep routine. And then you make sure that you adhere to what they want and you implement those things. And they all agree to it. And that's what's important, because now you're contributing to something that can be successful. And then, look, one of the things I think most people forget to do, most leaders, is they forget to compliment. They forget to say, you did a great job. I really appreciate all the hard work that you did on this. And that's not done enough. You can show it through gratitude, by giving them a small gift, whatever those little things, it's the little things that people get that really make a difference. And so I think corporations need to show more appreciation for the work that's done that's outside the norm, that makes a big impact on how people are motivated and how they contribute to the organization.
So we've talked about values. In your experience, what are some of the values that are critical to success of an organization or success of a team? Because, if teams are not successful, organizations can't be successful either.
Yeah. Well, there's certain specific ones that I think every organization needs to have. One value is trust. Trust within the organization, that the CEO is going to do what he says he's going to do, or he or she's going to say he's going to do. The trust and that the communication is a big thing for me. Look, what's on your mind? You need to come tell me, because a lot of times people keep things within inside them. So it's up to a good leader to engage employees to communicate both the good and the bad. Same with a leader, communicate both the good and the bad. So there's a level of trust, not only on the leadership side, but also on the employee side. So trust, communication, I like the word called going beyond. What can our organization do that sets us apart from other organizations that are competitors? So what are the little things that we can do that can set us apart, that people can remember? And there's a lot of things that people come up with, and you get with your employees, you can ask the same question. What do we need to do that shows that we're different than other people? And it could be simple as, once you get an account, going by and giving them baked cookies or something like that, or sending a thank you card. When's the last time, did you, that you got a thank you card in the mail for all the great work that you're doing? Probably not too often. The thank you card seems to have gone away. A written thank you card sent via postal mail. That's different. Those are the kind of things that people remember more than getting the big things, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and those are such powerful things. As a matter of fact, I'm leading a leadership cohort just now, and we are in the middle of probably like it's a 7 week program. We're almost halfway through, and one of the gentlemen just asked me for some help, which was not part of um, the program that we are working on, and I helped him out. He's part of the cohort, and then when I come back for the next workshop, it's an in-person thing, and I find a beautiful envelope sitting where my computer is usually, and he had shared a handwritten note, and I treasure them. I have all my handwritten notes like that I have received because it makes such a huge difference.
Yeah, and the situation with that is pretty rare. Not
Yeah,
many people do that. And I think we need to get back to what I will call the attitude of gratitude, finding a way to thank people for what they've done. Simple things, even in personal relationships. And a lot of times my wife will do something and we take those kind of things for granted. But I'll go back and say, honey, you did a great job on dinner last night. It was a great meal. Really appreciate it. It's so important to me. And that goes a long way. And you keep doing these over and over again, not all the time, but when it makes a difference and you can feel it. When we feel something that's like really appreciative, we gotta we gotta let people know, and we don't. And that's really a critical, important thing when it comes to leadership, CEOs, or even anybody at any company level needs to understand that when you show gratitude, simple thank you note, simple gift, whatever it may be, it doesn't have to take much. It makes a world of difference. And there's actually studies that show this. When you show gratitude, not only does it do great wonders for the person you show it to, but it also does great wonders for you personally. It's like like I don't know I don't know how they describe it, but actually improves health, both your health and their health. Because the biggest disease in America is stress. If you can release stress from somebody by just showing gratitude, do all these kind of things that can help them out, it helps their health overall.
absolutely. And Mark, you have worked with CEOs during your CEO roundtables. So what would you say, like, as you have worked with multitude of CEOs, what are some of the qualities that you have seen that they've brought to their organization that have made their organization successful?
Well, I think an open level of honesty and transparency. I've been running CEO roundtables probably, going on 13 years now. And the people, what a lot of CEOs, especially younger CEOs, what the most important factor when you establish an organization is to establish structure and then rhythm. When I say structure, structure means a foundation for company success. That includes creating a mission statement, a vision statement, so you know where the company's going. Creating core values. These are the things that we adhere to as an organization. Setting goals for all your company employees. These are foundational elements that a good leader needs to implement across the organization, and then creating that infrastructure being providing tools, resources, processes in place that can help them be successful based on that foundation that you've put in place for the company to be successful. So you're probably only as good as your weakest link when you're creating that foundation. If you have a poor foundation, you just kind of haphazard, and then eventually it's going to catch up to you. But when you have that foundation, when things get tough, that foundation comes into play and creates that rhythm over time that you keep adhering to make sure that you can be successful.
Absolutely. And that's such a relevant point that having that rhythm, providing resources and support for people to be successful. Now, we have focused our conversation a lot on people, like, how to empower our people. That said, with the advent of AI, the speed of business is changing so rapidly. It's and so many decisions need to be made, whether they're accessibility of information, expectations, and how are CEOs dealing with that?
Well, it's important to let CEOs know that AI is a tool to be used. Just like when the internet came out, it was a tool for you to use to help you become a better organization. And so AI is similar to that tool, although it seems to be a lot more engaging and a lot more rapid fire going further. It's amazing what AI can do. But just like you said in your book, and I really highly recommend your book, is that there's a human element in the AI that I think a lot of people are missing. You can provide all this information, it gives you what a summary of what you need, but it's the thinking on your end and the human element that eventually needs to be made from a decision. Because I would say the information you put into AI could be garbage in, garbage out, right? Sometimes you can
Mm,
put information in the AI to get an answer that you want that's not the right answer, basically. So you have to be very careful how you use AI to be able to use it for an information gathering, but adapt it to what your needs are. And it's the human element that I think a lot of people are missing.
absolutely. And so, as these executives and leaders are gathering information, as we call them information holders, what transition do they need to kind of move into so that they can handle AI with proper care while keeping the human element into the mix?
Well, my recommendation at that point is most leaders don't know anything about AI, or they know a little bit about it. They need, just like you would hire a financial expert or a human resource expert, they need to hire somebody who's engaged in AI. You're a perfect person to be able to do that. You wrote that book. So, I mean, they would need to hire somebody that can drive them and direct them and give them the knowledge and the tools that are necessary for them to use AI within their organization. It's almost like if hire an AI consultant to say, okay, here's what I'm doing. Here's where I want to go. Help me get to where I need to do the most effective way possible. And I think that's really, really important going forward, is to have somebody that has knowledge in AI that can bring those resources and that knowledge to you, to the company, to be successful. And you can't do it on your own. Look, some of the problem with most executives I have is they try to do everything, especially when they're young as an entrepreneur. But as you transition and you get bigger, you got to understand, you got to make this what I call paradigm shift and change your thinking and your mindset to be able to use outside resources to be successful. And I think, is no different than hiring a financial expert or whatever to do what you need to do for success.
Thank you, Mark, first of all, for your support. I appreciate it. And talking about AI, you have brought AI into your own business. Tell us about that.
Well, you would think that at my age, I wouldn't be involved in a startup company, but I got involved in a startup company about 4 years ago. And what we wanted to do is bring AI technology, and we've done a startup, basically very, very, very generic in this. Say I'll be very quick. And it basically take video content, what I call organic content, not made up AI videos, but we take organic content that people have. And what we do is we cut and splice the best of those videos and create a single one for you automatically in minutes based on the choices you make. And we do it frame by frame. So the whole idea is to be able to take all this content an individual has or companies have, TV stations, aviation, all this video that's in there. What can I do with it to be successful? Instead of me having a videographer go through all this data, how can I sift through all this data, do all that what I call grunt work, and then produce something that's pertinent to me in the choices? Because everybody has different ideas of what they want in a video. So what we've done is being able to take that through our patent technology to be able to give people, and it's done in minutes where you don't have to hire videographers, but you can do it internally yourself.
Mm. You mentioned 4 years, so it has been a journey. What are some of the lessons you've learned along the way?
Whew. Well, one of the lessons are raising money is tough. So I did this a while back in 1994. It seemed a little bit easier when I had an internet company, raised money and went to market and we sold it. It's when you start raising, one of the lessons I've learned is that raising money, you have to really have what I would call structure, or really defined mission, what you're doing, how you go about doing it, how you can be successful, and where that money is going to go to. So raising money is tough. Startup is tough. A lot of startups fail. You got to have the right people to be able to do that. And spending money is tough, because you got to have the right people do the right thing. So a startup today is much more difficult than it was, I would say, 25 years ago, because of the way you have to. And there's a lot of money out there, but you got to have all the processes, or all the business plans and the goals and everything else you need to do to be a successful organization.
You mentioned that having a startup is much tougher than what it was 25 years back. Can you shed some light on that?
Yeah, I found that when we raised money for our internet company, it was a little easier. Of course, it was tougher in Louisiana back then than it is today. But what I found is being able to have the ability to track investments coming into it, and we go through Carta, which is an online service that tracks all the investments. You got to be really specific, because of the rules and the regulations have changed substantially over the last 25, 30 years to be able to create an investment vehicle like we have an AI. So you got to adhere to those rules and regulations. It seemed to be more relaxed back then, but now they're much more difficult. And you want to make sure that you have and you adhere to those SEC rules and regulations like we've done. Make sure that everybody has their stock, all that stuff that goes into it. We provide a service through a third party to be able to make sure we keep all that on track.
Absolutely. And that's such an important point, because a lot of times what happens is that people have a passion, people have an idea, and then they think, oh, I can go ahead and start a startup. So if somebody's thinking that, what are some of the key essentials that they need to think about even before kind of seeing if the market idea is viable or not?
Well, I think they have to do a lot of research and development in terms of what their idea would look like and what other people are thinking. Now, I will tell you this much. You can talk to all these people and they'll tell you that you get a lot of negative feedback. But my point on this is, if you're really passionate about something and you have an idea, it might be a good idea, it might be a bad idea. If you have an idea, if you're really passionate about it, I think you can make it work. The struggles that most entrepreneurs have is these peaks and valleys. You get to a point and you're going, oh, this is so hard. Why am I doing this? You got to keep pushing. You got to keep going forward. You got to get people that to say, yeah, keep going. You're doing the right thing. That's difficult, because you come to a lot of times where I'm saying, I just can't do this anymore. And you just got to trudge through it, and eventually you'll be successful. That's the most difficult thing for entrepreneurs to do within a startup. But if you get the right people and you have funding to be able to do it, go for it. You have to go for it. On one condition: you got to have the passion to be able to do it, and have to stick it out, go through it, and and eventually it's going to happen. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, no, well, you've lived it. And
yes, many times.
I've lived
It's
through
tough.
a
It's
few
not easy.
myself. And definitely what you're sharing is that you have to stick it out. And so many times what happens is that startup CEO comes to that edge. I'm done.
Right.
What can they do in that moment when everything appears dark?
Well, they can get with the people who supported them in the past, and kind of get them some kind of motivation. Get with family and friends, people who are mentors, and they can maybe be their cheerleader. You can do it. You've done this before. You have everything in place. You can do it. You just have to get with people that convince you that you can do it, because there are going to be dark times where you don't feel like you're going to be able to do it. But as long as you have a support team and you have a outside team or a mentor that you can obviously talk to, they're going to be able to help you through it.
Absolutely. And Where is your company now? And tell us more about it. What are your plans for it in the future? Tell us if you've written any books.
Yeah. So with Evolve Media, we've done this probably almost 5 years now, and we've raised 1.2 million. We're continuing to raise money. We're almost at the end of our line for money raised, but I've continued to put money into it over time because I feel so passionate about the fact that this is going to succeed. Our end result, though, is this. This happened to me in 1994 when I started an internet company in New Orleans. We knew that some of the big boys were going to do what we're doing. And we were the first ones that provided internet connectivity for businesses. People may not know this, but there was an ISDN. We were the first with ISDN. We were first with T1 connectivity. A lot of people don't remember that. But we knew that the big boys were going to buy us out. And within 3 years, that actually happened. With the AI company that we put together, we think the same thing's going to happen. We have a patented technology that nobody else is doing, and they're all focusing on really text-based stuff, but nobody's really focusing on organic video that you can take and analyze it frame by frame, convert it to a data, and then any videographer can say, I want this, 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 and this, and it'll cut and splice those things and produce a video. And then you can do whatever you want it through a video editor like Final Cut Pro. We think we're ahead of the game on that. Now, Apple, Google, Amazon, all those guys are going to probably eventually do it, but we've got the technology. We've done a lot of research, and they said, well, they can probably do that in 3 weeks. No, they can't. The reason they can't because of what we've done in video analysts frame by frame without the hallucinations. That's the key point about that. We think someone's going to say, I want your technology. I want to integrate it with what we're doing, and we're going to have a competitive advantage over the big boys for a certain period of time. And that's the end result. And that's the goal that we're shooting for.
And where can people learn information about your company?
They can certainly go to evolvemedia.ai. They can certainly contact me at mlewis@evolvemedia.ai and send me an email and inquire about it. So I'm open. I mean, any way they can reach me, I'm happy to talk to them 24/7. I do sleep, but I'm very passionate about what's going on. So I'll take text messages, I'll take whatever throughout the day.
I know, Mark, you're so passionate about it, and I'm positive that your company will succeed because you bring that passion and experience to it.
Thank you.
Anything else you'd like to share with our audience about your contact information, about your book?
Yeah, they can go to marklewisllc.com. I've got, I do some consulting work. I do CEO roundtables. I've got a book, Give a Damn, the Ticket to Cultural Change, that I'm passionate about because I think society is going down this path of self-centered path that's hurting us in a way. We don't have that interaction within people. I think technology's been great overall, but it hasn't been great for human communication, to be honest with you. Even though it's increased human communication, the face-to-face communication that I had when I was with IBM and doing all these things was significant. And we're getting away from that. But they can learn more about me. I also want to appreciate you for all the AI work that you're doing and the book you put out. I think that's really an important element in terms of how people can learn, especially on the leadership level, about what AI brings to the business and how they can utilize AI to make it more effective. So you're doing great things with AI. I'm happy to be with you today. Thank you for all your support. And I look forward to continue to work with you in the future.
Thank you, Mark, for sharing your wisdom because I know that what you share is going to help a lot of people. And I'm sure, audience, that you found so much value in what Mark has shared. Do check out his websites, both the websites, check out his book, excellent book. And I can tell you that you will enjoy it. And if you, of course, have any questions, Mark is very easy to approach, connect with him. So thank you, Mark, for joining us and sharing your nuggets. And thank you, wonderful audience, for being part of the show, because without you, the show would not be possible. Reach out to us like you always do. Let us know how we can serve and support you. And thank you, Juan, for being a tech genius. Be well and take care until next time.
Thanks, Divya.
Thank you for being part of Beyond Confidence with your host, Divya Parekh. We hope you have learned more about how to start living the life you want. Each week on Beyond Confidence, you hear stories of real people who have experienced growth by overcoming their fears and building meaningful relationships. During Beyond Confidence, Divya Parekh shares what happened to her when she stepped out of her comfort zone to work directly with people across the globe. She not only coaches people how to form heart connections, but also transform relationships to mutually beneficial partnerships as they strive to live the life they want. If you are ready to live the life you want and leverage your strengths, learn more at www.divyaparekh.com. And you can connect with Divya at contact@divyaparekh.com. We look forward to you joining us next week.